Have you ever stayed awake at night, staring at the ceiling, wondering if he really loves you? Does he see you, the real you, or are you just another stop on his journey? These questions aren't just whispers in your head. They're the echoes of every woman who has ever wanted to feel desired, valued, and deeply loved. Here's the thing, love isn't always loud. It doesn't always arrive wrapped in grand gestures or poetic declarations. Sometimes it's quiet, hidden in the spaces between words, buried in the way he looks at you when you're not looking, or tucked into the little things he does that might go unnoticed if you're not paying attention. But let me ask you this. What if you've been looking for the wrong signs all along? What if you've been measuring love with the wrong yardstick, mistaking attention for affection or passion for permanence? Here's the good news. Understanding whether he loves you isn't a mystery, it's a skill. And once you learn to recognize the right signs, you'll stop second-guessing and start feeling confident in your connection. In this video, we're diving into 8 things to pay attention to if you want to know if he loves you. These aren't surface-level cliches. They're the deep, revealing truths about how men express love, sometimes without even realizing it themselves. By the time we're done, you'll have a clearer lens to view your relationship, and you'll know if it's time to lean in, step back, or move on. Let's start with something simple but profound. Does he make you feel seen and valued? 1. His efforts to make you feel seen and valued. Picture this. You're sitting across from him at dinner. The restaurant is buzzing with life, waiters weaving between tables, the clink of glasses, the hum of conversation, but when he looks at you, it feels like the rest of the world disappears. His attention is steady, undivided. He remembers the way you wrinkle your nose when you're deep in thought. He knows how you take your coffee, what song makes you cry, and the story behind your favorite necklace. Does he notice the little things? Because love, real love, isn't about grand displays. It's about the intimate, subtle details that show he's paying attention. Let me ask you this. How often does he really see you? Not just in a "you look amazing tonight" kind of way, but in the way he remembers the tiny details you casually mentioned weeks ago. Maybe it's a passing comment about how you've always wanted to try a specific dish, and then, one random evening, he surprises you with it. Or perhaps it's the way he notices your mood without you saying a word. You're quiet today. What's on your mind? These moments are telling because they reveal something essential about love. When a man loves you, he doesn't just hear you, he listens. He doesn't just glance at you, he sees you. And that attention translates into action. Now, here's a question for you. When was the last time you felt valued in his presence? Was it when he made time for you despite his busy schedule? Or when he celebrated your achievements, no matter how small, as if they were his own? That's the kind of love that runs deep. But if you're constantly feeling overlooked, as though your needs or desires aren't even on his radar, it's time to ask yourself, is he choosing to see me, or is he just conveniently showing up when it works for him? This is where Stoicism comes into play. A man grounded in Stoicism is intentional in his actions. He doesn't just say you matter, he demonstrates it by the way he treats you. His choices reflect his priorities, and if you're one of them, it'll be obvious in the way he shows up for you consistently, not just when it's easy or convenient. It's not always about quantity but quality. A man who loves you doesn't have to spend every second of his life with you, but the time he does spend will feel meaningful. When he's with you, he'll be present, fully, intentionally, and without distraction. And when he's not with you, his actions will still make you feel connected. But here's the catch. Not every man who notices you loves you. Some men are good at playing the game, saying the right things, doing just enough to keep you hooked. So how do you tell the difference? Look at his consistency. Is his attention to detail a pattern, or is it sporadic? Love doesn't just flicker, it burns steadily, even in the background. If he's consistently making you feel seen and valued, there's a good chance he's falling, or has already fallen, for you. But if his effort feels performative or short-lived, it might be time to step back and reassess. Love isn't complicated when you know what to look for. And when a man truly loves you, He'll make you feel like you're not just an option, but the center of his world. Are you starting to see the difference? Let's keep going, because the next sign is just as revealing, and perhaps even more intimate. 2. How he handles conflict and challenges. Conflict. It's the true litmus test of any relationship, isn't it? It's easy to love someone when the skies are blue and the sun is shining. But what happens when the storm clouds roll in? When misunderstandings arise, tempers flare, or life throws unexpected challenges your way? How does he show up? Because if you want to know whether he truly loves you, the way he handles conflict will reveal everything. Now, let's paint a picture. Imagine the two of you are in the middle of a disagreement. It could be something small. Maybe you're frustrated because he forgot to follow through on a promise. Or it could be something bigger, something that cuts a little deeper. Does he meet you with patience, curiosity, and an openness to understand your perspective? Or does he shut down, deflect blame, or worse, make you feel like your emotions are invalid? A man who loves you sees conflict as an opportunity to strengthen your bond, not as a battleground where one person must win and the other must lose. And here's where it gets interesting. Love isn't just about saying, "I'm sorry." It's about asking, "How can I make this better for us?" It's not about avoiding arguments, it's about arguing with care. Have you ever noticed how some people turn a minor disagreement into a major drama? Or how they use conflict as a weapon to manipulate or control? That's not love, it's insecurity wearing a clever disguise. A man who truly loves you isn't interested in keeping score or proving he's right. Instead, he's invested in finding solutions that work for both of you. Here's a powerful truth. When someone loves you, they'll fight with you, not against you. The difference. Fighting with you means they're working to understand, to heal, and to rebuild trust. Fighting against you means they're more interested in defending their ego than protecting the relationship. So, think back to the last time you and your partner faced a tough moment. Did he show up as your teammate or your opponent? Did his actions make you feel safe or small? Love is about safety. Let me say that again. Love is about safety. Emotional safety, to be exact. It's knowing that even in moments of anger or frustration, he would never intentionally hurt you. It's the way he softens when he sees tears in your eyes, the way he chooses his words carefully, the way he pauses to take a breath instead of lashing out. And yes, even the way he's willing to apologize, not just to end the fight, but because he genuinely cares about repairing the connection between you. But let's not sugarcoat this. Not every man knows how to handle conflict maturely. Some men grew up in environments where expressing emotion was seen as a weakness. Others have been taught to win at all costs, even in their relationships. That's why observing how he navigates challenges is so important. Is he willing to grow, to unlearn unhealthy patterns, and to become a better partner? Or does he default to defensiveness, blaming you or the situation instead of taking accountability? His response will tell you everything you need to know. Now, let me ask you this. Have you ever been in an argument that felt like it only pushed you further apart? Did you leave the conversation feeling unheard, dismissed, or misunderstood? If so, it's time to reflect on whether he's truly invested in your emotional well-being, or if he's just coasting along, unwilling to do the work that love requires. Here's where Stoicism becomes a game changer in relationships. A Stoic man approaches conflict with calm and self-control. He doesn't let his emotions rule him, and he doesn't react impulsively in the heat of the moment. Instead, he pauses, reflects, and responds with intention. That kind of emotional stability is a cornerstone of lasting love. If your partner demonstrates this kind of maturity, it's a powerful sign that his feelings for you run deep. And if he doesn't, well, it might be time to reevaluate whether this relationship is truly serving you. But let's not forget the flip side of this coin. How do you handle conflict? Relationships are a two-way street, after all. Are you meeting his efforts with patience and understanding? Are you creating a safe space for him to express his thoughts and feelings? Because love thrives on mutual respect, and it's just as important to reflect on your role in the dynamic. Growth isn't about perfection, it's about progress for both of you. Here's another thought to chew on. Conflict doesn't just reveal the strength of your bond, it deepens it. I think about the last time you overcame a challenge together. Maybe it was a tough conversation you were dreading, or a stressful situation that tested your patience. Didn't you feel closer afterward? That's because navigating conflict with care builds trust. It's the emotional equivalent of saying, "I choose you," even when things aren't easy. And let's not overlook how much his actions after the conflict matter. Does he follow through on the changes he promises? Does he make an effort to avoid repeating the same mistakes? Because love isn't just about words spoken in the heat of the moment, it's about actions taken long after the dust has settled. A man who loves you doesn't just apologize, he shows you over time that he's willing to grow for the sake of the relationship. So, let me ask you, the next time you're in the middle of a disagreement, how will you feel? Will you feel safe, supported, and respected? Or will you feel dismissed, belittled, and frustrated? The answers to these questions will reveal the truth about where his heart stands. And here's a little challenge for you. If you're starting to see the difference between a man who loves you and one who doesn't, let me know. Like this video and drop a comment with number 1 if this resonates with you. I want to hear your stories, your triumphs, your struggles, your aha moments. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, because we're just getting started, and I promise you, the insights we're about to uncover will transform the way you approach love, relationships, and yes, even Stoic dating. Why? Because understanding how he handles conflict isn't just about knowing if he loves you. It's about knowing if he's capable of building the kind of partnership you deserve. And trust me, you deserve more than good enough. You deserve extraordinary. Let's keep diving deeper. The next sign is one of the most intimate and most telling of them all. Are you ready? Stay with me. This is about to get even better. 3. His willingness to show vulnerability. What does vulnerability look like in a man? For some, it's sharing a deeply buried fear or a moment from their past they've never spoken about. For others, it's as simple and as profound as saying, "I don't know what to do right now." But here's the truth. When a man is willing to show you his vulnerabilities, he's not just letting you into his world, he's inviting you to hold a piece of his heart. Let me ask you something. How often does he let you see the parts of him that aren't polished? The moments where he's uncertain, scared, or even broken? A man's willingness to let down his guard and expose the raw, unfiltered version of himself is one of the clearest signs of deep love. Why? Because vulnerability requires trust, and trust is the foundation of every meaningful relationship. Now, here's where it gets tricky. Society teaches men to be stoic, to hide their emotions behind a mask of strength, to act as though they're impervious to pain or doubt. Stoicism, in its healthiest form, is about emotional resilience, not emotional avoidance. But many men misunderstand this, equating vulnerability with weakness. That's why when a man chooses to be vulnerable with you, it's not just an act of love, it's an act of courage. Think about it. How easy is it for you to open up to someone, even when you love them deeply? Sharing your innermost thoughts and fears can feel terrifying. Now, imagine the weight of that fear doubled by years of conditioning that taught him to suppress his feelings. If he's willing to overcome all of that to let you in, it means he sees something extraordinary in you, a safe harbor, a partner, someone worth trusting with the parts of himself he usually keeps hidden. But how can you tell if his vulnerability is genuine? Start by paying attention to the timing and context. True vulnerability isn't performative. It doesn't happen when it's convenient or when it might win him points. Instead, it often emerges in quiet, unguarded moments. A confession late at night, a tearful admission when life feels overwhelming, or a whispered fear when he thinks you might turn away. For example, has he ever shared something with you that wasn't easy to say? Maybe it was about his struggles at work, his family dynamics, or a personal failure that still stings. Did he open up because he wanted your support, or did it feel like he was seeking pity or admiration? Love-driven vulnerability is about connection, not manipulation. It's about building bridges, not gaining leverage. And here's a key question. How do you respond when he shows vulnerability? Do you meet him with empathy, and understanding? Or do you unintentionally shut him down with judgment or indifference? Because the way you hold space for his emotions matters. When you respond with compassion, you're not just encouraging him to share more, you're deepening the trust that anchors your relationship. There's a beautiful paradox about vulnerability. The more you show it, the stronger you become. When a man loves you, he's willing to risk showing his weaknesses because he knows you won't use them against him. Instead, he believes you'll hold them gently with care and respect, and that belief is powerful. It's the kind of belief that transforms casual connections into unshakable partnerships. But let's get real for a moment. Not every man is ready to be vulnerable, even if he loves you. Some are still trapped in their fear of being judged or rejected. Others may have been hurt in the past, making it hard for them to trust again. This doesn't necessarily mean they don't love you. It just means they have their own inner battles to fight. The question you need to ask yourself is this: is he making an effort to let you in, even if it's just a little at a time? Or is he shutting you out completely? A man who's willing to try, who takes small but meaningful steps toward vulnerability, is showing you that he's invested in building something real. And that effort deserves patience, but if he's consistently unwilling to open up, it might be a sign that he's not ready for the kind of deep, emotionally connected relationship you're seeking. Let's go deeper. Vulnerability isn't just about sharing fears or failures. It's also about expressing love without fear of rejection. Does he tell you how much you mean to him, even if it feels awkward or scary? Does he show affection in ways that make him feel exposed, like writing you a heartfelt letter or holding your hand in public? These moments might seem small, but they're deeply significant. They show that he values you enough to take emotional risks. And what about when he makes mistakes? Vulnerability is also about owning up to shortcomings. If he lets you see when he's wrong and takes steps to make things right, that's another powerful indicator of love. A man who truly loves you isn't afraid to admit his flaws because he knows your relationship is strong enough to withstand imperfection. Here's another angle to consider. Does he let you support him when he's struggling? Love isn't just about being there for someone, it's also about allowing them to be there for you. If he leans on you during tough times, if he lets you be his rock when he needs one, it's a sign that he trusts you deeply. And trust, as we've said before, is love's most essential ingredient. Let me leave you with this thought. Vulnerability is love's ultimate act of faith. When he shows you his scars, his fears, and his doubts, he's saying, I trust you to see me as I am and still choose me. That kind of trust doesn't come easily, and it shouldn't be taken lightly. If he's willing to be vulnerable with you, cherish it, because in those moments he's giving you a part of himself that he doesn't share with just anyone. So, the next time he opens up to you, pause and appreciate the courage it took. Meet him with kindness. Hold space for his emotions. And remember, love isn't about perfection. It's about two imperfect people choosing to be real with each other. Vulnerability is where that realness begins, and where the deepest, most transformative love can grow. Stay tuned, because the next sign is all about how he invests in your connection, and trust me, it's just as revealing. Let's keep unraveling this together. 4. The effort he puts into building your connection. Let's talk about effort, because if you want to know if he truly loves you, it all comes down to how much he's willing to invest in building your connection. Love, after all, isn't just about what he says, it's about what he does. It's in the time he carves out for you, the energy he pours into your relationship, and the thoughtfulness behind his actions. So, how do you know if he's putting in the effort? Let's break it down. Imagine this: he's had a long, exhausting day. Work was stressful, his phone hasn't stopped buzzing, and all he probably wants is to collapse on the couch. But instead he calls you, not because he has to, but because he wants to hear your voice. That's effort. Or maybe he remembers something important to you, a big meeting, a family event, or even the anniversary of a tough moment in your life, and he checks in to let you know he's thinking of you. That's effort too. Love isn't convenient. It doesn't wait for the perfect moment when schedules align or when things are easy. It shows up, even when it's hard. So ask yourself, does he prioritize you? Does he make time for you even when life gets busy? Does he actively seek out ways to make you feel valued and cherished? These are the quiet but unmistakable signs of a man who's invested in your relationship. But effort isn't just about time, it's about intentionality. Is he mindful about the way he spends his time with you? Does he plan meaningful dates, surprise you with little acts of kindness, or simply ask how he can support you? Effort is about quality, not quantity. A man who loves you doesn't just show up, he shows up fully. Now, here's a question for you. How does he handle the things that matter to you? Maybe you're passionate about your career, a hobby, or a cause close to your heart. Does he show interest? Does he ask questions, cheer you on, and make you feel like your dreams are just as important to him as they are to you? If the answer is yes, that's a strong sign of love. When a man truly cares about you, he doesn't just see you as you are, he sees who you're becoming, and he actively supports that journey. Let's talk about consistency. One grand gesture is nice, but it's not love. Love is in the little things he does, day after day, without expecting applause. It's in the way he texts to say good morning, checks in during the day, and makes plans to see you without you having to ask. It's in the way he remembers the small details about your life and brings them up later because he was actually listening. These seemingly small acts of effort add up to something much bigger, a relationship built on mutual care and intentionality. But here's the truth. Effort isn't always glamorous. Sometimes it's the hard stuff, showing up for you when you're not at your best, staying patient during an argument, or working through challenges together instead of walking away. It's in the way he chooses to stay, even when things aren't easy, because he values the connection you've built. Effort is what keeps love alive when the initial spark fades and the real work of building a life together begins. Think about the last time he made an effort to connect with you. Maybe it was something small, like picking up your favorite snack on the way over to your place, or something bigger, like planning a surprise trip because he knew you needed a break. Did it feel genuine? Did it feel like he was thinking about you, not just going through the motions? These are the moments where love reveals itself, not in words, but in actions. Let me share a secret with you. A man who loves you doesn't see effort as a chore. He doesn't do it because he feels obligated or because he's trying to earn points. He does it because making you happy makes him happy. When he goes out of his way for you, it's not about keeping score, it's about showing you how much you mean to him. But here's where it gets tricky. Some men put in effort at the beginning but let it fade over time. Maybe they start strong, sweeping you off your feet with romantic dates and sweet gestures, but as the relationship progresses, the effort disappears. That's not love. Love is sustained effort. It's showing up, not just when it's new and exciting, but when it's routine and even a little messy. If his effort is consistent, that's a powerful sign of love. If it's not, it might be time to ask yourself whether he's truly invested in the long term. Now, let's flip the script for a moment. Effort isn't a one-way street. Are you putting in the effort to build your connection too? Are you showing him that you value him, that you're willing to invest in the relationship just as much as he is? Love thrives on reciprocity. If you want a man to put in the effort, you need to meet him halfway. And here's the thing. Effort doesn't always look the same. For some men, it's about planning a romantic evening. For others, it's about being there when you need them most, offering a listening ear, a shoulder to lean on, or practical help when life gets overwhelming. Pay attention to the ways he shows effort and don't overlook the quieter forms of love. They're often the most meaningful. So let me ask you, does he make you feel like a priority? Does he show you, through his actions, that he's invested in building a life with you? If the answer is yes, that's love in its truest form. And if this resonates with you, if you're starting to see what real effort looks like, then let me know. Like this video and comment number 1 to show that you're with me on this journey. I'd love to hear your stories about how effort has shown up in your relationships. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. We're just scratching the surface here, and I don't want you to miss the powerful insights still to come. Because here's the truth. When a man puts in the effort to build your connection, he's not just telling you he loves you, he's proving it. And love that's proven through action. That's the kind of love worth holding on to. Stay with me, because the next sign we're about to explore takes things to an even deeper level. You don't want to miss this. Let's keep going. 5. How he treats you in moments of weakness. If you really want to know how much someone loves you, watch how they treat you when you're at your most vulnerable. Love, after all, isn't just about celebrating the highs, it's about standing by someone during the lows. When life feels heavy, when you're overwhelmed, hurt, or unsure of yourself, does he meet you with kindness, patience, and care? Or does he retreat, leaving you to shoulder the weight alone? Think about a moment when you were struggling. Maybe it was after a bad day at work, a family argument, or even a moment when your confidence wavered. What did he do? Did he notice? Did he listen? Did he make you feel like it was okay to fall apart for a while, knowing he'd be there to help you pick up the pieces? A man who loves you doesn't see your moments of weakness as inconvenient or annoying. He doesn't roll his eyes when you cry or dismiss your feelings as too much. Instead, he leans in. He offers a hug, a kind word, or simply his presence. Sometimes love isn't about fixing things, it's about being there, no matter how messy things get. Let me ask you this. When you're vulnerable, do you feel safe with him? Because love is safety. It's the ability to show up as your most imperfect self without fear of judgment or rejection. If you can cry in front of him, admit your fears, or share your doubts, and he meets you with compassion instead of criticism, that's love in its purest form. But here's the catch. Not everyone knows how to handle vulnerability, especially if they've been taught to suppress their own emotions. Some men struggle to know what to say or do when you're upset. Does this mean they don't love you? Not necessarily. What matters is whether they're trying. Does he make an effort to understand what you need, even if he doesn't always get it right? Effort matters just as much as action. Let's talk about empathy for a moment. Empathy is the ability to step into someone else's shoes, to feel what they're feeling, and to respond in a way that eases their pain. A man who loves you will show empathy, even if he doesn't fully understand what you're going through. He might not have the perfect words, but he'll do his best to make you feel supported. And that effort, no matter how small, speaks volumes. Now, contrast that with indifference. Indifference is the absence of effort, the lack of care. It's when you're hurting and he either doesn't notice or chooses not to respond. It's when your tears are met with silence, your worries brushed off with a dismissive, "You're overreacting." Indifference is the opposite of love, and it's a red flag you can't ignore. Think about the last time you were at your most vulnerable. Did he step up or did he step back? Did his actions make you feel stronger or did they make you feel alone? Love is about partnership, and in moments of weakness, a true partner shows up, not to take over, but to stand beside you. But love isn't just about how he treats you in your moments of weakness, it's also about how he handles his own. Does he let you see him when he's struggling? Does he trust you enough to share his fears and insecurities? Vulnerability goes both ways, and a man who loves you won't just support you, he'll also let you support him. That mutual exchange is what makes a relationship truly strong. Here's another angle to consider. How does he treat you when you make mistakes? Nobody's perfect, and sometimes we hurt the people we love, intentionally or unintentionally. Does he respond with grace? Or does he hold your mistakes against you? Does he bring them up in arguments as ammunition? Or does he forgive and move forward? Love doesn't keep score. It doesn't hold grudges. Instead, it chooses understanding over resentment. And what about when you're feeling insecure? Maybe it's about your appearance, your abilities, or something from your past that still lingers. Does he reassure you, or does he make those insecurities worse? A man who loves you will do everything in his power to build you up, not tear you down. He'll remind you of your worth even when you struggle to see it yourself. This is where Stoic dating plays a crucial role. A man who embraces Stoicism understands that emotions are not something to be feared or avoided. Instead, he approaches them with calm and care, recognizing that vulnerability is a natural part of life and love. His steadiness becomes your anchor, especially in moments when your world feels shaky. But let's not forget, how he treats you in your weakest moments also reflects how he sees you. Does he view you as an equal partner, someone whose feelings and needs matter just as much as his own? Or does he see your emotions as a burden, something he has to deal with rather than embrace? Love is about respect, and respect shows up most clearly when things aren't perfect. So, let me leave you with this. Love isn't measured by how someone treats you when you're strong, it's measured by how they treat you when you're not. A man who truly loves you will hold space for your emotions, offering support without judgment. He'll remind you in 1,000 little ways that you don't have to go through life's challenges alone. The next time you find yourself in a moment of weakness, pay attention to his response. Does he show up? Does he make you feel seen, heard, and valued? Or does he retreat, leaving you to face the storm by yourself? The answers to these questions will reveal more about his love than any words ever could. And remember, the love you deserve is one that stands steady in the face of life's ups and downs. Stay tuned, because the next sign is just as crucial and just as illuminating. Let's keep unraveling the truth about what real love looks like. 6. His actions aligning with his words. They say actions speak louder than words, and when it comes to love, this couldn't be more true. If you want to know if he loves you, look closely at whether his actions align with his words. Does he follow through on his promises? Does he do what he says he's going to do? Or are his declarations of love just empty words floating on the surface with no real depth beneath them? Picture this: he tells you that he values honesty, but then hides things from you. Or he says he's going to call, but the phone stays silent. Worse yet, he talks about a future together, but when it comes time to take real steps, introducing you to his family, making plans to move forward, he pulls back. These contradictions create a disconnect, don't they? They leave you feeling confused and uncertain. But here's the truth. When a man loves you, his words and actions won't leave room for doubt. They'll work in harmony, building trust instead of eroding it. Let's break this down. Love is about reliability. When he says he'll be there, is he? When he tells you he cares, does he show it? Because a man who truly loves you doesn't just talk about love, he lives it. He shows up for you in ways that matter, consistently proving through his actions that his words aren't just fleeting sentiments, but promises he intends to keep. Think about the little things. When he says he'll pick you up at 7, is he there at 7? Or is he always late, leaving you waiting? When he tells you he's proud of you, does he back that up by celebrating your achievements in ways that feel meaningful to you? The smallest gestures often speak the loudest, and they're the truest indicators of whether his heart matches his words. Now, here's where it gets tricky. Some men are good at saying all the right things. They'll tell you they're serious about you, but their actions suggest otherwise. Maybe he avoids deeper conversations about commitment. Maybe he's inconsistent, showing up when it's convenient but disappearing when you need him most. If his words and actions don't align, it's a red flag, a sign that his feelings might not be as genuine as they seem. Let me ask you this: when he says he loves you, does it feel real? Do his actions make you believe him? Or do you find yourself second-guessing? Real love doesn't leave you questioning where you stand. It's steady, dependable, and clear. When a man truly loves you, his actions and words will move in the same direction, creating a sense of safety and trust that allows the relationship to grow. And trust is everything, isn't it? Trust isn't just about faith in his loyalty. It's about believing that he means what he says. When his actions align with his words, you feel secure. You don't have to overanalyze or wonder if his promises are empty. But when there's a disconnect, insecurity creeps in, making you feel like you're standing on shaky ground. Let's talk about consistency for a moment. A man who loves you won't be perfect. Nobody is, but he will be consistent. He'll make an effort to show up for you, not just once or twice, but time and time again. Consistency builds trust, and trust is the foundation of love. Without it, even the strongest connection can crumble. Here's a powerful truth. A man who loves you isn't afraid to make sacrifices. If his actions align with his words, He'll prioritize you, not because he has to, but because he wants to. Maybe it's skipping a night out with friends to spend time with you because he knows you've had a rough week. Maybe it's stepping out of his comfort zone to support something that matters to you, even if it's not his thing. Love isn't just about big declarations, it's about the everyday choices he makes that show you how much he cares. But let's not forget, love goes both ways. Are your actions aligning with your words? Are you showing him that he can trust you too? Relationships thrive on reciprocity, and when both people are consistent in their words and actions, it creates a partnership built on mutual respect and understanding. Now, let me ask you to reflect. What does your gut tell you? Do you feel like his words are backed up by real effort, or do they feel hollow? Trust your instincts. If his actions leave you feeling loved, supported, and valued, you're likely on the right path. But if they leave you feeling uncertain or confused, it might be time to have a deeper conversation or to reevaluate whether this relationship is truly serving you. Here's another thought to consider. Actions that align with words don't just build trust, they also build intimacy. When he follows through on what he says, it shows that he respects you, values your time, and takes your relationship seriously. That kind of alignment creates a bond that goes beyond surface-level attraction. It's the foundation for a love that lasts. And what about when things get tough? Does he stick to his promises, even when it's inconvenient or uncomfortable? Or does he backpedal, offering excuses instead of solutions? Love reveals itself most clearly in difficult moments. When a man truly loves you, his actions will reflect his commitment, even when the going gets tough. Let me leave you with this. If you want to know whether he loves you, don't just listen to his words. Watch his actions. They'll tell you everything you need to know. A man who loves you will make you feel secure, cherished, and prioritized, not through what he says, but through what he does. And if this resonates with you, I want to hear about it. Like this video and drop a number 1 in the comments if you've ever experienced the power of aligned actions and words in a relationship. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. We've got so much more to uncover about what love truly looks like, and you won't want to miss it. Stay tuned, because the next sign is all about how love embraces every part of you, including the imperfect. Let's keep going. 7. His ability to embrace your flaws. If you've ever wondered whether someone truly loves you, here's a secret. Love isn't about finding perfection. It's about embracing imperfection. It's easy to love someone's best qualities, their charm, their intelligence, their beauty. But what happens when the mask comes off? When the quirks, insecurities, and flaws surface? Does he lean in with understanding, or does he pull away? A man who truly loves you sees the whole of you, the messy, complicated, imperfect reality, and chooses to stay. He doesn't try to change you or mold you into someone you're not. Instead, he accepts you for who you are, flaws and all, because he understands that love isn't about perfection, it's about connection. Think about this. Have you ever felt the need to walk on eggshells around him? To hide parts of yourself because you're afraid they'll push him away? Maybe it's your stubbornness, your anxiety, or the way you cry at silly commercials. A man who loves you won't make you feel like you have to edit yourself. He'll create a space where you feel safe to be unapologetically you. But here's the thing. Acceptance doesn't mean he ignores your flaws or pretends they don't exist. It means he sees them, understands them, and still chooses you. He knows that your quirks are part of what makes you unique, and he values the depth and complexity they bring to your relationship. Let me ask you this. When was the last time you let him see a part of you that felt raw or vulnerable? Maybe it was a mistake you made, a fear you've been carrying, or a part of your past you're not proud of. How did he respond? Did he listen without judgment, or did he dismiss your feelings? True love listens. It doesn't shy away from the hard stuff. It leans in, offering empathy and reassurance. Here's another angle to consider. Does he celebrate your individuality? Does he encourage you to be yourself, even when it means being different? Or does he try to change you to fit you into a mold that makes him more comfortable? Love isn't about control. It's about freedom. The freedom to be who you are without fear of rejection. But let's not sugarcoat this. Accepting flaws doesn't mean tolerating unhealthy behavior. Love has boundaries, and respect is one of them. A man who loves you will accept your imperfections, but he won't enable habits that hurt you or the relationship. Instead, he'll support your growth, gently encouraging you to be your best self, not for him, but for you. Now, let's flip the script. How do you respond to his flaws? Are you accepting of his imperfections, or do you find yourself wishing he were different? Love is a two-way street, and just as he should embrace your quirks and vulnerabilities, you should extend the same grace to him. Remember, no one is perfect, and real love is about finding beauty in the imperfections. Think about how he handles your quirks, the things you might consider too much. Maybe it's the way you overthink things or your need for constant reassurance. Does he respond with patience, or does he make you feel like a burden? A man who loves you doesn't make you feel too much. Instead, he shows you that your feelings and experiences are valid, even when they're complicated. Here's where Stoicism plays a fascinating role in relationships. A Stoic man understands that perfection doesn't exist, not in himself, not in you, not in life. Instead of focusing on what's wrong, he focuses on what's real. His steady, grounded nature allows him to see your flaws as part of your humanity, not as something to be fixed or criticized. This kind of acceptance creates a foundation for a relationship that's built on trust, respect, and mutual understanding. But let's get real for a moment. Embracing flaws isn't always easy. It requires emotional maturity, patience, and a willingness to let go of unrealistic expectations. So, if your partner is able to see you at your most unfiltered and still chooses you, that's a powerful sign of love. And if he's willing to stand by you as you work through your own struggles, that love is even deeper. Let me leave you with this thought. Love isn't about finding someone who's flawless. It's about finding someone who sees your flaws, your cracks, and your edges, and loves you not in spite of them, but because of them. A man who loves you doesn't just tolerate your imperfections, he cherishes the way they make you uniquely you. And here's the beauty of it. When someone truly loves you, their acceptance of your flaws teaches you to love yourself a little more. It shows you that you don't have to be perfect to be worthy of love. You just have to be you. That's the kind of love that lasts, the kind that grows stronger, not in spite of the imperfections, but because of them. The next sign we'll explore takes this idea even further. It's about knowing when to let go if love isn't there. Stay with me, this is a conversation you won't want to miss. 8. When to let go if love isn't there. There's a hard truth about love that many of us struggle to face. Sometimes it's just not there. And no matter how much you give, no matter how hard you try, no matter how deeply you hope, some people aren't capable of loving you the way you deserve. So how do you know when it's time to let go? First, let's get one thing straight. Letting go doesn't mean you failed. It doesn't mean you weren't good enough, or that your love wasn't real. It simply means you've recognized that the kind of love you're offering and the kind of love you're receiving don't match. And that's okay. Real strength is knowing when to hold on and when to walk away. Let's ask the tough questions. Are you always the one reaching out, putting in the effort, and keeping the relationship afloat? Does he leave you feeling unseen, unheard, or unimportant? Do you find yourself constantly making excuses for his behavior, convincing yourself that he'll change? If so, it might be time to pause and reflect. Love shouldn't leave you feeling exhausted. It should leave you feeling uplifted. A relationship where love isn't mutual is like chasing a mirage. You pour your heart into it, but no matter how much you give, it never feels like enough. Why? Because real love doesn't require you to prove your worth. It doesn't make you beg for attention, affection, or commitment. If you find yourself bending over backward, trying to fix him so he'll love you, stop. You deserve better than that. You deserve a love that chooses you freely and fully. Let me share a truth that's both liberating and heartbreaking. Love can't be forced. You can't make someone love you, no matter how much you do for them. And here's the thing, if someone truly loves you, you won't have to chase them. You won't have to beg for their time, their respect, or their effort. They'll show up for you not because they have to, but because they want to. But how do you find the strength to let go when your heart is still holding on? Start by reminding yourself of your worth. You are not defined by someone else's inability to love you. You are not too much or not enough. You are a complete, beautiful, and deserving person, with or without their love. And sometimes the greatest act of self-love is walking away from a relationship that diminishes you instead of uplifting you. Here's where Stoicism can guide you. A Stoic approach to dating teaches us to focus on what we can control, our own actions, thoughts, and feelings, while letting go of what we cannot, like someone else's choices or emotions. When you embrace this mindset, you free yourself from the weight of trying to fix a one-sided relationship. You realize that your happiness doesn't depend on someone else's ability to love you. It depends on your ability to love yourself. So, let's talk about signs it's time to let go. If you feel like you're always the one giving, with nothing coming back, that's a red flag. If he consistently makes you feel unimportant, ignored, or unappreciated, it's time to take a hard look at what you're holding on to. And if you've communicated your needs and he's unwilling or unable to meet them, it's time to ask yourself, am I staying because I'm hopeful or because I'm afraid to leave? Walking away isn't easy. It takes courage to say, I deserve more, especially when your heart still wants to believe in the potential of what could be. But here's the truth. Staying in a relationship where love isn't mutual only delays the inevitable. It keeps you stuck, preventing you from finding the kind of love that does match your energy, your effort, and your worth. Let me ask you this. If you let go, what could you gain? Imagine the freedom of no longer chasing someone who won't choose you. Imagine opening yourself up to the possibility of meeting someone who sees you, values you, and loves you for exactly who you are. Letting go isn't the end, it's a beginning. And here's another powerful thought. When you let go of a relationship that isn't serving you, you're not just making space for a better partner, you're making space for a better version of yourself. One who knows her worth, trusts her instincts, and refuses to settle for anything less than extraordinary. So let me challenge you. If this resonates with you, take a moment to reflect. Are you holding on to something or someone that's holding you back? If the answer is yes, I want you to imagine what life could look like if you let go. Picture the strength you'd feel, the joy you'd reclaim, and the love you'd open yourself up to. Because letting go isn't about losing, it's about choosing yourself. And if this message hits home, let me know. Like this video and comment number 1 if you've ever found the strength to walk away from a relationship that wasn't serving you. Your story could inspire someone else to do the same. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. This community is all about building confidence, understanding love, and creating connections that uplift you, not drain you. Because here's the bottom line, love should never feel like a battle. It should feel like home. If you're not feeling that, it's time to let go and move towards something greater. Stay tuned, because we're wrapping this journey up with a conclusion that ties it all together, and it's one you won't want to miss. So, here we are at the end of this journey. We've walked through the 8 essential signs to pay attention to if you want to know whether he truly loves you. From his ability to make you feel seen and valued, to how he handles conflict, to whether he embraces your flaws and aligns his actions with his words, every sign has painted a clearer picture of what real love looks like. But now it's time to tie it all together. Let me ask you, as you reflect on your relationship, how many of these signs resonate with you? Do you feel secure, valued, and understood? Or do you find yourself questioning, doubting, and wondering where you stand? The truth is, love isn't a puzzle you have to solve or a test you have to pass. When it's right, it feels right. When it's mutual, you don't have to chase it. And when it's real, it shows up in ways you can see, feel, and trust. Here's the most important takeaway from everything we've discussed. Love starts with you. It begins with knowing your worth, setting your standards, and refusing to settle for anything less than the love you deserve. Because when you love yourself deeply and unapologetically, you naturally attract the kind of partner who will love you the same way. This is where Stoicism becomes an invaluable tool. By embracing Stoicism, you learn to focus on what you can control: your own growth, your own happiness, and your own boundaries, while letting go of what you cannot. It teaches you to approach love not from a place of fear or desperation, but from a place of strength and self-respect. If there's one thing I want you to take away from this, it's this. Love isn't supposed to be confusing. It's not meant to leave you questioning your worth or doubting where you stand. The right kind of love will make you feel safe, seen, and cherished, not because you've earned it, but because it's freely given. And here's one final challenge for you. Don't just settle for love. Build it. Nurture it. Grow it. Choose a partner who sees the extraordinary in you, who values your presence, and who shows their love not just in words, but in actions. And most importantly, be that partner in return. Because the strongest relationships are built on a foundation of mutual respect, effort, and care. Now, if this video has helped you gain clarity, confidence, or inspiration, I'd love to hear about it. Like this video and comment if you're ready to embrace the kind of love that truly honors who you are. Your voice matters here, and your story could be the spark that encourages someone else to recognize their own worth. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. This is just the beginning of our journey together. We'll keep diving into the secrets of attraction, self-love, and creating relationships that feel as incredible as you deserve. I can't wait to continue sharing this space with you. Thank you for joining me today, and remember, the love you're looking for starts with the love you give yourself. You're worth it. Until next time, take care and keep choosing yourself. You're extraordinary, never forget that.